Here is something strange about being human. You are covered in hair, not enough to keep you warm, not enough to protect you from the sun, not enough to stop a mosquito from treating your ankle like an open buffet. But under a microscope, the human body still carries an enormous number of hair follicles. We did not become naked by deleting hair. We became naked by shrinking most of it into something nearly useless. That is an odd evolutionary decision for a mammal. Fur is free insulation. It grows back. It travels with you. It does not need stitching, storage, cleaning instructions, or a return policy. And yet the lineage leading to us gradually traded that automatic coat for exposed skin and millions of sweat glands. The result was an animal that could cross hot landscapes with extraordinary endurance and could also become dangerously cold because the wind changed its mind. So this is not a story about why humans are bald. It is an investigation into the disappearance that forced us to invent our own climate. The first suspect is heat. Imagine a large primate moving across open ground under the midday sun. Its muscles produce heat. The air is hot. Shade may be far away. If the animal cannot dump that heat quickly enough, the brain begins operating inside a biological oven. Most mammals solve this by slowing down, panting, resting, or moving during cooler hours. Humans developed another system. We sweat across most of the body, and when that moisture evaporates, heat leaves with it. Dense fur interferes with that process. It traps air, blocks airflow near the skin, and holds moisture where evaporation is less efficient. Finer body hair lets sweat reach the surface and disappear directly into the air. That did not make humans the fastest animal in Africa. Almost everything worth chasing could outrun us while looking mildly inconvenienced. But speed is not the only way to dominate a landscape. Sometimes the important ability is to continue. Long legs, spring-like tendons, arched feet, a head stabilized while running, a body able to breathe without synchronizing every breath to every stride, and above all, a cooling system that keeps working while the animal moves. Under the right conditions, a human could travel while other mammals needed to stop and lose heat. The naked body was poor armor but an excellent radiator. That makes heat a powerful suspect, but it does not close the case. If cooling were the only issue, why did humans keep thick hair on the scalp? Why did body hair become sparse in a pattern rather than vanish evenly? Why are there major differences between sexes, populations, and body regions? Evolution rarely leaves one clean confession. The second suspect is parasites. Fur is insulation, but it is also real estate. Fleas, ticks, lice, and other small organisms can hide, lay eggs, and move through it, while their host performs the ancient mammalian ritual of scratching without solving anything. Reducing dense body hair may have made some parasites easier to detect and remove. Humans became intensely social groomers. We could inspect exposed skin, notice wounds, remove ticks, clean one another, and turn parasite control into a group activity. That sounds like a clear advantage, until you remember that bare skin is extremely convenient for biting insects. We may have reduced one kind of parasite habitat while exposing more feeding surface to another. Mosquitoes did not see human hair loss as progress. They saw improved access. Then humans created clothing, and parasites adapted again. Body lice do not live mainly on the body. They live in garments and crawl onto skin to feed. Once humans built artificial fur, lice occupied it. We removed an ecosystem from our bodies, recreated it with technology, and immediately gained tenants. The parasite theory explains part of the pressure. It also reveals something larger. Every human solution changes the environment for other species. The third suspect is sex. Exposed skin is visible skin. Under dense fur, subtle changes in color, injury, blood flow, scars, pregnancy, health, and age are partly hidden. On a nearly hairless body, the surface becomes readable. That could affect attraction, mate choice, social judgment, and the ability to detect illness. Preferences may then reinforce physical traits over generations, but sexual selection is difficult to reconstruct. Fossils do not preserve attraction. Ancient humans did not leave product reviews describing why one body type seemed appealing. So the case remains open. Heat, parasites, social signaling, and changes in habitat may all have interacted. There may never have been one moment when our ancestors crossed an invisible line from furry to naked. There were only generations in which slightly finer hair, better sweating, different behavior, and changing environments altered the cost of carrying a coat. And then the sun went down. This is where the supposed advantage becomes a crisis. A body that releases heat quickly also loses heat quickly. Rain removes warmth, wind accelerates the loss. Cold ground pulls heat from a sleeping body. Infants are especially vulnerable because they have small bodies, limited control, and no ability to solve the problem by announcing that the migration route seems poorly planned. Fur had handled these conditions automatically. Without it, survival moved outside the body. First came behavior: huddle together, sleep in sheltered places, move during warmer hours, protect infants in the center of the group, choose a dry surface, avoid exposed ridges, share body heat. Then came fire. Fire did not merely cook food or frighten predators. It created a temporary climate around the camp. It allowed a tropical primate to carry warmth into the night. Then came prepared sleeping surfaces, windbreaks, caves, huts, hides, and eventually fitted clothing. A coat is not just fabric, it is replacement anatomy. A roof is not just architecture, it is a second skin large enough for a family. A fire is not just a chemical reaction, it is an external organ that turns cold air into habitable space. This was the deeper consequence of losing fur. Our bodies stopped being complete environments. Most animals carry their adaptation with them. The polar bear does not build a new coat when winter begins. The camel does not manufacture a different cooling system before crossing a hotter valley. Humans became increasingly dependent on modifying the space around the body. Too cold, add insulation. Too wet, build a barrier. Too sunny, make shade. Too many insects. Use smoke, mud, plant compounds, netting, or the desperate technique of slapping every exposed surface until morale improves. This arrangement became even more important when humans entered colder regions. A nearly hairless primate moving into Ice Age Eurasia looks like an ecological mistake. The body was designed for releasing heat, then transported into landscapes where retaining heat determined whether morning arrived. Biological evolution could have waited for thicker fur to return. Humans did not wait. They scraped hides, softened leather, twisted sinew, shaped bone needles, cut garments to fit closely enough to trap air, built shelters against prevailing wind, stored fuel before storms, shared knowledge about seasons, snow, and which mistakes produced funerals. They did not grow a new body, they assembled one. And once warmth became manufactured, clothing acquired another function. It became visible culture. The same hide that protected skin could be cut, colored, decorated, exchanged, inherited, or reserved for particular people. Shells, teeth, pigment, beads, feathers, and patterns turned the artificial coat into a message. Clothing could say, "I belong here, I crossed that distance, I am married, I am dangerous, I am grieving, I have status, I know how to make this. Someone cared enough to make it for me." The loss of fur exposed the body. Culture answered by giving humans control over how that body would be seen. That is why the story does not end with sweating. A biological change created a chain reaction. Better cooling made long movement easier. Exposure made cold more dangerous. Cold increased the value of fire, shelter, cooperation, and clothing. Clothing became identity. Shelter became architecture, fire became a center of social life, and eventually humans surrounded themselves with so many layers of artificial environment that a person can now sit inside a heated building wearing synthetic insulation beneath electric lights and complain that the office is 1 degree too CECT cold. We often say humans conquered different climates. That is not quite what happened. Our bodies remained unusually vulnerable. Instead of adapting perfectly to each place, we carried incomplete environments with us: a portable coat, a movable shelter, a controlled flame, a shared store of knowledge. The disappearance of fur did not make humans independent of nature. It made us dependent on technology and one another, and that may be why nakedness still feels so revealing. Beneath clothing, walls, blankets, roofs, heaters, sunscreen, and insect repellent is the same unfinished mammal, excellent at losing heat, poor at keeping it, and permanently responsible for inventing the rest of its body.